AITA for refusing to give my ex a second chance after she dumped me over coworker gossip? I am 28 years old. I come from a small town in the Midwest, and I have been keeping this story to myself for a while. I think it is time to tell it all. I want to tell you about my ex, Chloe, and how things fell apart between us. It all started in high school. So let me take you back there. Chloe and I met during sophomore year. She was not the loud type or one to seek attention like many other girls in our class. She was more of the quiet, reserved type. But once she got started in a conversation, she lit up as if she had dreams in her head that all wanted to come out at the same time. She wanted to work in publishing and dreamed of living in a big city, working with books, and maybe even writing one someday. As for me, I was hooked from the start. On my side, I was not what you would call ambitious back then. I did not skip class, but I did not have my life all mapped out like Chloe either. I was the guy who always fixed everything. If something broke in shop class, the teacher called me. If a friend's parents had a leaky faucet, I showed up with my wrench. By junior year, I realized I could make a business out of it. While others were thinking about prom or the SATs, I was setting up a small plumbing business. By senior year, Chloe and I were inseparable. We went to prom together. We watched bad romantic comedies in my parents' basement and spent hours talking about our future. I do not know how to explain it, but we just clicked. She was my first everything. First kiss, first love, first real heartbreak. But we will get back to that. Chloe was accepted into a prestigious university on the East Coast, and I could not have been prouder. I still remember the day she received her acceptance letter. She ran to my house waving the envelope like it was a golden ticket. I hugged her so tight I thought I might break her. That was Chloe. Always aiming high, always pushing herself. When she left for college, I did not see it as the end of us. I saw it as the next step. I kept working on my plumbing business, and at that time, it was doing well. Nothing glamorous, but steady money was coming in. I told myself that if she was pursuing her dream, the least I could do was make sure she did not have to worry about rent or groceries. So, that is what I did. I helped her pay her rent, I sent her money for her books, and I even surprised her with care packages during finals week. I would drive my truck 4 hours to her dorm just to spend the weekend with her. It was not easy, but I did not mind. She was my girlfriend, and I wanted to make her life easier so she could focus on her studies. I admit there were times when I felt like I was making more of an effort than she was. Chloe was busy with her classes, her internships, and her networking events, which I understood. But sometimes, I would call her or send her a message and feel like I was bothering her. She would say things like, "Sorry, I've just been swamped," or "We'll talk later, okay?" And that later did not always happen. But when we were together, it was like nothing had changed. When I visited her, we spent hours walking around campus or sitting in her small apartment talking about everything and nothing. It was those moments that kept me going. After she graduated, Chloe landed a job at a reputable publishing house in New York City. It was not her dream job yet. She was not editing bestsellers or writing her own book. But it was a start. She was excited, and I was excited for her. I told myself we had made it through the hard part. Now, it was time to build our future. On my side, my plumbing business was doing better than ever. I had expanded the team, hired a few guys to help me, and was even thinking about opening a second location. I was proud of what I had built, even if it was not the kind of job with a prestigious title or a corner office. Chloe liked to joke, "You're the CEO of pipes," and I loved that she had that humor. For a while, everything was fine. I continued to support her as always. If she needed help with anything, I sent her money. If she had a big project at work, I showed up with her favorite meal so she would not have to cook. On weekends, we went on little getaways or stayed home watching our favorite shows. It was not perfect, but it worked. But there were signs that things were not as solid as I thought. Her work seemed to take up all the space. She liked what she did, but it seemed like she was always trying to prove something to her boss, to her colleagues, maybe even to herself. I tried to convince her to slow down, to breathe a little, but she would tell me, "Don't you understand? In this industry, you always have to fight." I tried to be understanding, but sometimes I felt like we were drifting apart. I did not want to admit it. I told myself that all couples go through rough patches and that we would end up overcoming ours too. After all, we had been together since high school. If anyone could make it, it was us. At least, that is what I believed until Jessica showed up. Jessica was a colleague of Chloe's, and at first, she seemed nice. Chloe talked about her from time to time. Jessica is jealous that you're so attentive, or Jessica finds it cute that you bring me lunch to the office when I'm too busy to go out. I did not see anything special in it. It is normal to talk about your relationship at work. But Jessica was not just talking. She was sowing seeds of doubt. The first time I felt something strange was when Chloe told me about a casual conversation they had during their lunch break. Apparently, Jessica had said, "You're so lucky your boyfriend supports you in your dreams. Most guys would feel threatened by an ambitious woman." That sounded like a compliment, right? But Chloe added, she said that most guys like that are actually secretly controlling. She asked me if you used money as leverage. I laughed at the time because it was absurd. Never had I made Chloe feel indebted. On the contrary, I had always encouraged her to focus on herself and let me handle the bills. But I could see that it had made its way into her mind because she started insisting on paying for small things here and there, like coffee or gas, when we went away for the weekend. It was not a big deal in itself, but I felt like the dynamic between us was changing. Then came the criticisms. Jessica always found something negative in what I did, no matter how thoughtful it was. One day, I went to surprise Chloe at work with her favorite sushi because she had said she was skipping lunch to finish a project. She thanked me via text later, but added, "Jessica said it was sweet, but she finds it weird that you didn't ask me what I wanted first." I was perplexed. I had brought her exactly the order she always got at her favorite restaurant. Why would I have needed to ask her? Another time we went out to dinner to celebrate her first promotion. We were having a great evening until she told me, "Jessica thinks you should have let me choose the place. She says you always take control of things." I had chosen that restaurant because Chloe had wanted to go there for months. But suddenly, even a thoughtful gesture could be turned into a flaw. And Jessica did not stop there. She also had a lot to say about my job. One evening, while I was fixing a clogged sink in Chloe's apartment, she told me in passing, "Jessica asked me what you did for work today. When I answered that you had a plumbing business, she said, 'Oh, that's cute.'" Cute? Owning a business is not cute. It is hard work, and I had built it from scratch, but that was not even the worst part. Chloe added, "She asked me if I wouldn't like you to do something more refined, like in an office or something." That hurt me. I knew I was not a big CEO, but I had always been proud of what I did. My business paid the bills, and it was honest work. Chloe reassured me. Jessica is sometimes just blunt. Don't take it personally. But I could see that those words were starting to get into Chloe's head. Chloe started making little remarks that did not sound like her. Things like, "Have you ever thought about expanding your business to make it something bigger?" Or "Have you ever thought about taking business management classes?" On the surface, they sounded like simple questions. But with everything Jessica was saying, it seemed loaded with subtext to me. And it was not just the remarks. Jessica had this way of intruding on our lives, even when I was not there. For example, Chloe told me about a work event where everyone brought their partner. I could not go because I had an emergency call from a regular client whose basement was flooded. When Chloe explained why I was not there, Jessica said, "You see, that's the problem with guys like him. Their work always comes first." Chloe told me she defended me, but the seed was planted. Later, she asked me, "Do you think you'll always have to handle emergencies like that? What happens when we have children one day?" Jessica's poison was not just in her words, but in the way she posed as a wise friend who knew better than everyone else. Every time Chloe and I had a disagreement, Jessica arrived with her unsolicited opinions. If I forgot to reply to a message right away, Jessica would say, "That's a red flag." Communication is so important. If I organized a surprise, Jessica would ask, "Wouldn't you like him to ask your opinion more often?" It seemed like she could not stand the idea of us being happy. One of the most blatant moments was when I helped Chloe move into a new apartment. I spent the whole weekend there carrying furniture, assembling shelves, and fixing little things. Chloe thanked me, but later she added, "Jessica said it's great that you're handy, but she finds it weird that you didn't hire movers. She says it's not worth risking your back for a few boxes." I was flabbergasted. Who criticizes someone for helping his girlfriend move? What really got to me was that Chloe started questioning herself and our relationship. She would say things like, "Don't you think we're too different?" Or, "Jessica says relationships like ours never last long." I always reassured her by reminding her of everything we had built together. But the more I tried to keep us afloat, the more Jessica seemed to pull us down. I still cannot believe how much power Jessica had over our relationship. At the time, I did not want to believe that someone could be so willfully destructive. But Jessica was not just a slightly too frank colleague. She was a snake in the grass, and I did not understand how serious it was until it was too late. Then came the big night. I had planned everything. That night was supposed to be the beginning of a new chapter for me and Chloe, the woman with whom I thought I would spend the rest of my life. But instead, it was the night everything fell apart. We had been dating for almost 10 years, since high school. Despite the ups and downs, I had never doubted what we had. So, I decided it was time to take the next step. I thought it would reassure Chloe after all her insecurities. I had bought the ring a month before. It was not flashy or over the top, but it was full of meaning. I had it designed just how I wanted, with our 2 birthstones forming a heart in the center and small diamonds around it. There was even room to add stones later for when we had children. I also had a special box made with 2 buttons, one that lit up as yes and one as no. It was kitschy, of course, but it was us. I wanted her to see how much I had thought about it, how much I had planned for our future. That evening, I went to pick her up for dinner at a small Italian restaurant she had talked about. I had reserved a quiet table in a corner, thinking it would be the perfect place for the proposal. I had rehearsed my speech 100 times in my head. The evening started well. She was beautiful as always in an emerald dress that brought out the color of her eyes. We talked about her work and my business, and for a moment, I felt like we were getting our bond back. But there was something different about her. She was quieter than usual, almost distracted, as if her mind was elsewhere. In the middle of the meal, I slipped my hand into my pocket to grab the little box. My palms were sweaty, my heart was beating out of my chest. I was about to take it out when she cleared her throat and said, "I need to talk to you about something." I froze, my hand still in my pocket. "Of course," I said, trying to keep my voice calm. She looked down at her plate without looking at me and said, "I've been thinking a lot about us lately, and I think we need to take a break." I sat there in shock. A break? Where did that come from? What do you mean by a break? I asked. She finally looked up, her eyes already misty with tears. "I don't know if it still works. I feel like we're drifting apart, and I need time to know what I want." She hesitated. "Jessica says we're mismatched. She thinks I'm holding myself back." Her words hit me like a punch in the chest. For a moment, I could not even speak. This was the woman with whom I had spent half my life. The woman I intended to propose to that night. And now, she was telling me she did not know if she wanted me anymore. I took a deep breath and took the box out of my pocket. I did not open it. I just placed it on the table and looked at it. "Do you see this?" I said in a calm but firm voice. Her eyes widened as she realized what it was. "It's a ring," I said. "This is the ring I was going to give you tonight. I was going to ask you to marry me, Chloe, to spend your life with me. But now," I shook my head, "you don't deserve it." She started to say something, but I raised my hand to stop her. "No, let me finish. I spent years supporting you, believing in you, and building a future for us. And this is how you thank me, by throwing a vague break at me in the middle of dinner. Thank God you're showing me your true face before we committed further." Her face crumpled, and I saw tears flow, but I did not care. I stood up, put the box back in my pocket, and grabbed my jacket. "You want a break?" I said, staring her straight in the eyes. "Fine, but don't come back begging when you realize what you've lost." With that, I turned on my heel and left the restaurant, leaving her alone at the table. The drive home was a blur. My mind was looping, replaying all our memories, wondering where it went wrong. How could she do this to me? After everything I had done for her, after everything we had been through. I kept telling myself I was right to leave, to stand my ground. I had given her everything, and if that was not enough for her, that was her problem. I was not going to beg or chase after her. I knew my worth, and I was not going to settle for someone who did not see that. I left the ring on the counter as a reminder, not of her, but of what I deserved. A partner who appreciates me, who believes in me, and who does not throw everything out the window on a whim. I decided to distract myself like everyone else these days by scrolling through social media mindlessly. Big mistake. I opened Instagram expecting to see the usual flow of memes and food pictures. But instead, the first thing I saw was Jessica's story. She had posted a video of a party, and at first, it seemed harmless. Just people drinking, dancing, and laughing. But then I saw it. Chloe, glued to some random guy, looking very intoxicated. He had his arm around her waist, holding her close as if they were much more than just strangers. She was giggling, leaning into him in a way that made me feel sick to my stomach. I froze, staring at the screen, hoping I had seen it wrong. But no, it was definitely her. And then I noticed something else. I had been tagged in the story. Jessica had not made it public. She had used that sneaky Instagram feature where only the tagged person sees that they have been identified. It was as if she wanted to make sure I saw the video without anyone else knowing. For a moment, I sat there stunned. I could not believe what I was seeing. This was the same woman who had told me a few hours earlier that she needed a break to think about what she wanted. And now, she was all over some guy as if her breakup speech had not even cooled down yet. I felt an anger so strong my hands started to shake. It was not just because of the guy or the party, but the fact that Jessica, of all people, was behind it. The same Jessica who had spent months tearing me down, sowing doubt in Chloe's head, criticizing everything I did. And now, she was throwing this filth just for me to see. I did not even know what to do with myself. I closed Instagram, put down my phone, and sat there staring at the wall. A part of me wanted to call Chloe right then and there, but I held back. She had made her choice, and now I saw exactly what that choice looked like. A few hours later, my phone lit up with her name. I ignored it at first, but she kept calling. 3, 4 times in a row. Finally, I picked up more out of curiosity than anything else. "Hello," I said, my voice cold. "Baby, please, let me explain," she sobbed. I could hear the panic in her voice. I said nothing, letting her speak. "I didn't know Jessica was going to post that," she cried. "It was a mistake." I let out a bitter laugh. "A mistake? You were all over a random guy right after ending things with me. That's not a mistake, Chloe. That's a choice. A very deliberate choice." "It wasn't like that," she pleaded. "I was drunk. Jessica introduced him to me. I didn't even know what was happening until..." "Until what?" I cut in. "Until Jessica decided to film it so I would see it? You want me to believe you didn't know what you were doing?" "She manipulated me," said Chloe, her voice broken. Hearing her try to shift the blame made me even more furious. "You want to blame Jessica now? Fine. But you're the one who let it happen. You're the one who decided that the best way to think about what you wanted was to get close to a stranger. That's on you, Chloe, not on Jessica." Silence hung on the other end of the line. For a moment, I thought she had hung up, but then I heard her sniffle. "I'm sorry," she whispered. "I was stupid and I..." "No," I interrupted. "Don't apologize. You don't have the right to cry and say you're sorry when you knew very well what you were doing. You made your bed. Now lie in it." She started to say something else, but I did not care. I hung up and blocked her number. I was not in the mood to hear her excuses. Every time I thought back to her voice, the way she tried to play the victim, I felt sick. I could not even blame the guy in Jessica's story. He did not owe me anything. But Chloe, she was supposed to be my partner, my ally for life. Seeing her act as if our relationship meant nothing was the final blow. The next morning, I woke up to a flood of texts and missed calls from our mutual friends. I guess Chloe had told them what happened, or maybe Jessica's story had circulated. Either way, I was not in the mood to justify myself. I just sent a mass message to a few close friends to tell them I was fine, but needed space. It was not my job to manage other people's opinions on the situation. I was drained, just wanting to focus on the future. So here's where I am. Have any of you ever gone through something like this? I keep replaying everything in my head, wondering if I was too harsh, but at the same time, I cannot ignore how premeditated it all seemed. Chloe let Jessica sow doubt and intrude on our relationship, then acted as if she had no control over the situation. And Jessica, how can people like her even exist, who go to the trouble of sabotaging someone else's life just for fun? I do not know what the next step is. Part of me thinks cutting both of them out of my life completely is the only way to preserve my sanity. Am I wrong to be this cold, or is this what happens when people show you who they really are? I would love your opinions, and I will keep you posted if anything changes in the next few days. Update 1. Hi everyone. First, I want to thank you all for the advice, support, and yes, even the sarcastic comments on my last post. Someone wrote something like, "Man, Jessica sounds like she's auditioning for America's Worst Coworker," and honestly, I laughed harder than I had in weeks. You helped me understand that I was not crazy for feeling what I was feeling. So, thanks for that. Sorry for taking so long to get back. Lately, things have been complicated. Between work, digesting my feelings about Chloe, and some unexpected health issues. We'll get to that. I have been pretty exhausted. But here I am, so let's dive in. In the weeks following the breakup, Chloe tried to get back in touch. She sent long apology texts saying she did not know what she was doing and asking if we could meet to talk about it. At first, I ignored her, but she persisted. Finally, I replied briefly. Chloe, I already said everything I had to say. You made your choice, and I'm moving on. Please respect that. That should have ended there, but it did not. She would pop up out of nowhere, liking old photos on my social media or trying to leave comments like, I miss this day. I never replied. I had already wasted enough energy on someone who did not value me, and I was not going to give her the satisfaction of still having access to my life. And that is where things took a turn. About 2 weeks ago, I started feeling sick, tired all the time with these strange dizzy spells that would not go away. I chalked it up to stress related to Chloe, but when I almost fainted at work, I realized I needed to see a doctor. To make a long story short, I needed surgery. Nothing too serious or life-threatening, but not pleasant either. I was not thrilled, but my friends and family were there. My guys at work even took on overtime so I would not have to stress about the business during my recovery. The surgery went well, and I woke up groggy but alive. I was still in a fog when I noticed someone sitting next to my bed. At first, I thought it was a friend or a family member. But no, it was Jessica. Let me set the scene for you. I am lying there in one of those awful hospital gowns, barely able to keep my eyes open, and Jessica is sitting there as if she were my guardian. She had this worried look on her face, as if we were best friends, and she had been worried sick about me. Oh my God, I'm so relieved you're okay, she said, leaning toward me as if we were a cute couple. I was too out of it to really understand what was happening, but I still managed to stammer. What are you doing here? She gave me a sweet little smile and said, I heard you were in the hospital. I had to make sure you were okay. Had to, Jessica. The same Jessica who had spent months trying to sabotage my relationship with Chloe. Yeah, sure. She kept talking, saying things like, I feel so bad about everything that happened with Chloe. You didn't deserve that. You're such a good guy. She didn't know what she had. It was like she was trying to rewrite history, painting herself as a caring friend who had always been on my side. At one point, she even reached out to grab my hand. I did not pull mine away, mostly because I was too tired to fight, but I could feel the gears turning in her head. Jessica was not there out of concern. She was there because she saw an opportunity. Lying there half-conscious, everything started to become clear. Jessica had orchestrated everything from the beginning. Those little remarks to Chloe, her constant criticisms of me, the way she intruded on our relationship, it was all part of a twisted plan. And now that Chloe was out of the picture, she was trying to worm her way into my life. It is crazy how clear things become when you are stuck in a hospital bed with nothing else to do but think. Jessica was not just a bad friend or a toxic coworker. She was manipulative, calculating, and selfish. She did not care about me or Chloe. She only cared about getting what she wanted, no matter who she had to hurt along the way. That is the thing with people like Jessica. They think they are smarter than everyone else. They believe they can manipulate and scheme to get what they want without anyone noticing. But she underestimated me. I have a plan for Jessica. I am not going to say too much for now because I want it to unfold exactly as I planned. Just know that once I am fully recovered, she is going to find out what it feels like to be beaten at her own game. So stay tuned, everyone. I will keep you posted when the time is right. Let's just say Jessica might regret stepping foot in this hospital room. Thanks again for all your support. Your advice has been a huge help, and honestly, reading your comments kept me sane through all this. I will be back soon with another update. In the meantime, wish me a speedy recovery. Update 2. Hi everyone. First off, wow. The reaction to my last post was insane. I did not expect so many of you to get invested in this whole story, but here we are. Thank you for your advice, your support, and your comments. Someone said, Jessica looks like the type of person who would pretend to be nice to adopt a cat just to post it on Instagram. And I could not have summed it up better. You guys really get me. I know many of you want to know what my plan was. So hold on tight. Things went almost exactly as I hoped, and let me tell you, it was satisfying. After I got out of the hospital, and once I started getting better, Jessica did not waste any time. She was texting me almost every day, starting with very basic messages like, hey, hope you're doing well, or let me know if you need anything. I'm here for you. At first, I ignored her. I was not an idiot. I knew what she was doing. But after a while, I realized that playing the game could work in my favor. So, I started replying. Not too much, just enough to keep her hooked. Thanks for checking in. I'm okay, I appreciate it. Recovery is slow but moving along. Jessica took the bait. Her texts became longer and more personal, filled with phrases like, "You're such a strong person," or "I don't understand how Chloe could let you go." She started dropping little hints saying she had always thought I deserved better or how much she admired me. At one point, she even sent me a picture of a casserole she had made, saying, "I'd really love to bring this over if you want some company." I declined, obviously, but it was clear she was trying to get closer. The real turning point came about 2 weeks after I got out of the hospital. Jessica called me out of the blue saying she was thinking of me and wanted to hear my voice. I could almost hear her laying it on thick, talking about how worried she had been during my surgery and how she had prayed for me. "Thanks, Jessica," I said, keeping a neutral tone. "That means a lot." Then she threw at me. "I feel like all this brought us closer. You know, like it made me realize how much I care about you." I almost burst out laughing. She did not care about me. She wanted to win. But instead of pushing her away, I played along. "Yeah, I guess so," I replied. That simple sentence was enough. Jessica slammed on the accelerator after that, texting me constantly, calling me baby in her messages, and even suggesting we see each other soon. The thing with Jessica is that she is predictable. She thought she was subtle, but every move she made revealed her intentions. It was not me who mattered, it was her ego. She wanted to prove she could have me, just like she had tried to destroy what I had with Chloe, so I let her believe she was winning. I started replying to her more often, slipping in a few compliments here and there, and even agreeing to see her. At this stage, I knew she thought she had me in her pocket. When we finally met up, Jessica was all over me. She kept touching my arm, laughing at all my jokes, and dropping hints about the importance of honesty and loyalty in a relationship. It was honestly exhausting watching her try so hard, but I continued to play the role. Finally, things escalated. I am not proud of it, but it was part of the plan. The next morning, I did not text her. I did not text her the day after, or the day after that, either. Jessica, of course, started flooding me with messages. "Hey, is everything okay? Did I do something wrong? Can we talk?" She called me at least a dozen times, left me voicemails, and even messaged me on social media. By the end of the week, I had a whole collection of panicked texts and voicemails where she was on the verge of sobbing, saying how much she cared about me. That is when I struck. I took screenshots of every single one of those texts, as well as recordings of a few voicemails where she was close to tears. Then I sent them all to Chloe in one batch without explanation, without a message. Just the evidence. Once sent, I blocked both of them everywhere. I know some of you will surely think, "Man, that's brutal." But let me explain myself. Jessica had been playing with my life for months, destroying my relationship and manipulating everyone around her. By sending these screenshots to Chloe, I was not trying to get her back or create drama. I just wanted the truth to come out. Chloe needed to see who Jessica really was and how far she was willing to go to get what she wanted. I wanted Chloe to understand what she had sacrificed by throwing our relationship in the trash. And honestly, blocking Jessica was liberating. I felt like I was taking back control, no longer suffering the chaos she sowed. Now, I am just watching the fallout from a distance. Jessica wanted power, and instead, I am the one who flipped the script. Chloe and Jessica are going to have to face their own consequences, but as for me, I am done playing their game. And believe me, this is not the last time you will hear from me. Give me some time to recover completely. I am going to give them a little time to process, and I will be back to give you a new update soon. Update 3. Hi everyone. I promised to keep you updated, and oh boy, things escalated quickly. Apparently, my little stunt of sending all of Jessica's panicked messages to Chloe triggered a chain reaction I could not have planned better even if I had tried. Here is what I learned through mutual acquaintances. Chloe did not appreciate discovering that Jessica, her so-called friend, was plotting behind her back. She confronted Jessica at work, and things went from 0 to 100 in no time. According to what I was told, it started with Chloe demanding explanations, asking her why she had tried to sabotage our relationship only to throw herself at me after the breakup. Jessica, true to form, tried to play innocent. She claimed that I was the one chasing her and that Chloe was exaggerating. But Chloe did not buy it. Someone who works with them told me the argument got so loud that the manager had to intervene. But it did not stop there. Apparently, Chloe accused Jessica in front of their colleagues of being manipulative and trying to ruin her life. Jessica fired back, and before anyone could stop them, the situation escalated into a serious physical incident. I do not have all the details, but I know it ended with both of them being escorted out by security. In the aftermath, they both got fired. Honestly, I do not feel sorry for either of them. Jessica got exactly what she deserved. And Chloe, well, I cannot say she is totally innocent either. She let Jessica intrude on our relationship, and when she finally realized how toxic Jessica was, the damage was already done. I do not know what awaits them, but I am staying far, far away from this drama. I finally feel like I can breathe. So there, that is all for the moment. Thanks for following this whole mess with me. I will keep you posted if anything else happens, but for now, I am enjoying the peace and quiet. Update 4. Hi everyone. It has been a while, and honestly, I thought I did not have anything left to share. I thought all the drama with Jessica and Chloe was over and that I could finally move on. But of course, people like them never disappear quietly. A week after their fiasco at work, Chloe showed up at my place. She looked like a disaster. Her eyes were puffy from crying. Her hair was in a messy bun, as if she had not even tried to make herself presentable. Jessica planted all those doubts, she said. She made me believe you weren't good enough, but it all came from her. I see it now. Please, let's fix this. I stood there letting her talk. I was not even angry anymore. I was just done. When she finally stopped, I told her, Chloe, I gave you everything and you threw it all away. You let someone like Jessica destroy us, and now you want to come back. I can't do this anymore. I've moved on. She begged. She even cried, but I did not give in. I wished her the best and closed the door. The next day, conveniently, Jessica tried her luck. She first sent me a long message from a random account I did not recognize, saying how sorry she was and that she had made mistakes, but that she was ready to do anything to fix things. I ignored it, so she actually showed up unannounced, all smiles and fake sweetness. I know I messed up, she started, but I also know you care about me. We could make this work. I see it now. I did not even let her finish. I looked her straight in the eyes and said, you both made your choices. Now live with them. Then I went inside and closed the door in her face. That was the last time I saw either of them. Since then, life has been peaceful. My business is thriving. I even expanded it and hired more people. I spend more time with my friends and focus on myself, which was long overdue. And yes, I started dating someone new. She is great, down to earth, kind, and most importantly, she appreciates me for who I am. She does not care that I run a plumbing business instead of having a fancy office in a big corporation. She is honest, supportive, and she makes me feel like I am enough, exactly as I am. As for Chloe and Jessica, last I heard, they are both still unemployed and spend their time blaming each other. Mutual friends say they barely speak anymore, and when they do, it is only to insult each other. I would be lying if I said I did not find the irony a little amusing. They destroyed each other trying to destroy me, and I came out unscathed. If there is one lesson I learned from all this, it is that you have to be careful about the people you let into your life. Not just your partner, but also their friends. Sometimes, bad influences can cause much more damage than you imagine. And for those who have gone through something similar, find someone who values you for who you are, not for what they think you should be. Do not settle for someone who listens to people like Jessica or who lets doubts settle in because of other people's opinions. You deserve better than that. My life is good now, and I fully intend to keep it that way. Comment. I hope this story reminds you of your own strength, even when things feel difficult. True self-respect isn't about proving someone wrong. It's about knowing you deserve to be treated well. Setting boundaries is one of the kindest things you can do for your well-being. You can't control how others behave, but you always have the power to control your response. Sometimes, the strongest response is simply walking away from the chaos. Healing truly begins the moment you decide your peace is more valuable than their drama. Always surround yourself with people who see your value without you needing to prove it. Remember that your past does not have to dictate your future happiness. Your energy is a precious resource, so invest it in people and goals that help you grow. Please take good care of yourself. If you like the stories, don't forget to leave a comment and support the channel by subscribing. See you in the upcoming stories.